Good afternoon, everyone. This is your host, Maura McCarley Torkeldsen, and this is the Inner Tree video, my new format. And welcome. A lot going on this week in my life, and of course, here in the US, we're seeing some real disasters. And because of that, I feel like my heart is just broke open. So it's a little heavy. And at the same time, I'm open. So many of you know that I lost one of my best friends this week on Saturday, my cat, Avatar. Well, we euthanized her because she was gotten to the point where she was in too much pain and unable to eat and howling. So we decided that it was time. And so I'm feeling both sad about that and also embracing my grief. And it's kind of like, here we go again, embrace grief one more time. She was with me when I lost my father, the first time that I really embraced grief, and now, once again, to embrace the grief with her. I can say that my good friend Marguerite Rigoyoso came and did a beautiful ceremony, and that allowed me to detach a little bit and see her in all her glory. And what I realized is that she really was an angel and a gift to us, and her message was, let love do it, because that's what she was all about. She was all about love. So I'm carrying that lesson in my heart right now as I look at the events in our world. So my heart is open for the people in Houston, but my heart is also open for the people who are not able to be present and who in their sideways are teaching us lessons, things that we can look at. So that includes, of course, our president and the people that follow him. And there's learning there for us as well. And I've been reading Brene Brown's latest book, which is Rising Strong, and she asked a question, which is, what if I believed that everybody was doing the best that they could do, given their circumstances? So it doesn't mean that I agree with their choices, but if I look at it from that perspective, it brings me back to compassion. So that's where I'm sitting today. Heavy heart, but also open. And I think that the biggest question that I can continue to ask myself is, what would love have me do? And that's my choice. That's how I want to live my life. Now, do I think that I'll do it perfectly? No. But that's my choice. So with that said, what I'd love to do is go into the reading for the day, which is the intent of this call. And I'm going to start, per usual, with the Fairy Oracle deck, which is this deck. I showed it to you last week if you were on the call. The deck is by Brian Froud, and it's the one that works for me. Everybody might have a different deck to work with. This one personally speaks to me, and the fairies represented here in the deck feel alive and real to me, and they always have something honest to tell me, even if I don't like it. But they do it with compassion. So let's see what the fairies have to say to us about the energy this week, today and this week. What can we learn? What do we need to look at? I'm just going to pull a card here. So the card that came is the Singer of Healing. And when I pulled it, it was upside down. So perhaps there's a little bit of healing that we're not allowing to come through. And that would really make sense to me as we're on right now, presently, so many among us are on the path of the ego. And I don't want to say that the ego is wrong, but I realized today, as I was thinking about this, that the ego, that the mind, we need to align it with our heart and with our roots. So the way that I see this is that I'm a tree. That's how I see myself. I'm rooted in the divine. My trunk is where my awareness lives, and that's in this vessel of my body. And my branches are where I reach the world around me. And the mind can become unhinged. So everything gets processed through our ego and a mind when we're in this vessel, because we remember the events that happened to us in the past, and particularly the ones where we have wounding, and that's where we have our filters. But we can actually help our mind do the work in alignment with our deeper connection to the divine. And that's our learning, is how to do that. How to heal the filters and bring ourselves more and more in alignment with the divinity at our roots. And part of the work of that is accepting being human. So that gets conflicted when we try to solve problems only with the mind and with the ego, which is where the trajectory of our current human path has taken us. And so this is a reminder to tend to our healing. So I went on a walk earlier today and went and sat by a tree, asking for what lessons the tree had to teach me, because I see trees as very wise beings. They hold stillness so well. And one of the lessons is that when we don't tend our wounds, then our wounds can become a dangerous force in the world. And I think that's what we're seeing happening right now. So the message for today is to tend to our own healing, to accept our humanity, to accept that we're not going to be perfect, and to clear our wounding. And through that, that's where a real shift will occur. So that's a message from the fairies. Thank you, fairies. Now, of course, I'm going to go to the medicine deck, which is animal medicine. And I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. I'm not sure who the maker of this deck is, but I'll make sure I post it on the Facebook page. That way you'll know and give credit where credit is due. So I'm spreading the cards out. And let's see which animal teacher wants to come forth today. Okay, well, wanted to come in a pair. So I got hummingbird and turkey. So let me show those to you. So hummingbird was on top. Let me just take a moment here to see what the message is. So what hummingbird is telling me right now is that there's nectar in every flower that we choose. And what that means is that we can receive nourishment from all of our decisions, even when we make seemingly mistakes. Because sometimes when we make mistakes, the learning goes a little deeper, and it's just exactly what we needed to learn. And the nectar is our growth. The other thing that this card says to me is hummingbirds are excellent navigators. They're able to fly backwards and forwards and up and down and side to side. So they're very skilled navigators through the air. And what that says to me is that we can back up, we can look at things from all angles, that we have the capability to maneuver through our life. And of course, that takes much awareness. So what does the hummingbird have to be aware of as it navigates through the air? Well, it's also using its other senses to find flowers. It's aware of what's in its arena. So that includes awareness of any dangers that might be there as well. It has to navigate through the wind. And it needs to find water. And so I think what's good from this card is to pose the question to you about that navigation. How are you navigating through your life? So just take some time to think about that and see if you want to shift your navigation style. Have you been going in a straight line and maybe it's time to back up for a minute? Have you looked at it from this angle? So sometimes that may require shifting our habits a little bit. So that was hummingbird. And then the next card is turkey. So turkeys are flock birds. And they're actually very smart, the wild turkeys, and very wary. But they care for each other. Together, we have turkeys in our neighborhood. It's kind of fun to watch them walk around. They walk down the sidewalk as if they're almost human. That they live here. They live here too. And what I notice is that all the females pack together to raise the little turkeys. And what that does is it creates a sense of safety for them. And also that they share their resources. So they all peck on the same things. And they like to roost in the evening for safety. So I think what turkey is telling us here is that there's safety in numbers. If you get in with the right group, that we can share our burdens with each other, share our vulnerabilities as well as our strengths. And together, we can face anything. And so what that tells me is we must become better at coming together to face these disasters. I think that we're seeing that happen in Texas right now, which is a good thing. And I know that there's been great response and that people are getting rescued from their homes. But we need to do even more of that. We need to find common ground. And so turkey is a reminder of that as well. Okay, so let me just hold the 3 cards up one more time. And that is your reading for the day. Have a beautiful week, and I'll be back again next Tuesday.